So, how to choose. Now, it's not so much blind luck, because you think of it like using a camera and you're pointing it in the direction you want people to go. Essentially, the way that a director and a cinematographer point to a particular piece of action is saying, you need to see this because this is important to the next bit of the film, or this is what I want you to see because this reveals this and this reveals that. It's like the exact same thing. So you're thinking very carefully. You're the director of your own work, and you need to then go through and edit it and make sure that everything that you're showing is there for a reason. What you're showing is what needs to be seen, and you're cutting out the bits that don't need to be seen. So if we were to use an example of to create a good character, then you cut out the aspects that may not necessarily make them appear like they're a good character, or cut out other aspects of their life which aren't important to the story. If you're trying to tell a story of someone who is trying to quit smoking, you wouldn't necessarily tell about them making breakfast unless it has something to do with them quitting smoking. Certainly, if they were getting really angry because they haven't had a cigarette for a long time, then yeah, you include that in the story. But if it's just about breakfast, oh, they got up in the morning and had breakfast, who cares? I eat breakfast every morning, and I'm not one of these people who put it up on Twitter and say, yeah, I had breakfast, yay for me. One of those things that you need to be selective of is, as I said, it's not Twitter, it's not where you put your random thoughts up, it's where you show what people are actually caring about, unlike Twitter. You do not also tell your reader what they should be thinking. This is a really big point. It's like, don't sermonize. You don't say you need to be thinking this. You don't put words in their mouth. You don't want to preach, and that's the big point. Preachy sorts of work where you're saying, well, oh, it was horrible, they did the wrong thing. No, you let that come out through their consequences, you let it come out just through the language itself. You can come up with very controversial topics and not say anything bad about them. You let it come out through the work, write it in a way that allows it to come out on its own. It will come across if you're painting it as a negative idea. And you don't have to say, oh, it was horrible, they did this and it was so bad and they were stupid and they should have been shot for it and all the rest. You don't need to say that. One thing they take away is the role of the reader. The reader is the one responsible for that, not you. So if you're writing your story, then it is whoever's reading or marking your work who will decide what sorts of morals and values are in there. And especially if you're writing a story and saying, oh, well, this is the theme. You don't say that either. If I'm writing a story about change and saying, this is how they changed, the end, that's almost preaching and saying, oh, they've changed. You can see that because I've just told you that. No, you don't do that. You ignore this and you let the reader have some role in the story. And especially, it's about making a one-way form of communication two ways, and that the reader has a conversation with you as much as you're having a conversation with the reader. Choose details that allow them to imagine a main idea. Don't worry about if they understand or if they get your main point. Or try and make that point, for instance. You don't need to do any of that because it will come out. If it's not there, it means that you haven't really thought about describing it, that you completely ignored it. If you've described it in some way, it will come out. So you don't need to worry about if people get it or not.